Hello everyone! In our last video we learned about variables, what they are, how to declare them, and how to use them in our programs. Today we are going to go one level deeper and explore data types in Java. Data types. You already know that every variable needs a data type, but what exactly are data types? How many are there? And why does Java need so many different ones? By the end of this video, you will have a complete understanding of all 8 primitive data types in Java. First, let's understand the big picture. In Java, data types are divided into 2 main categories. The first category is primitive data type. These are the basic building blocks of Java, simple, lightweight, and built directly into the language. There are exactly 8 of them, and we are going to cover all of them today. The second category is non-primitive data types. Non-primitive data types, also called reference types. These are more complex types built on top of primitive types like arrays, strings, and classes. We will cover non-primitive data types later in this series. For now, let's focus entirely on the 8 primitive data types. So, for primitive data type, let me use a different color. We have for whole numbers. We have for decimal numbers, and we have for single characters, and we have true or false. So for whole numbers, we have 4 types: byte, short, int, and long. For decimal numbers, we have 2 types: float and double. And for single characters, we have char, and for true or false values, we have boolean. So now let's talk about the 4 integer types. The most important question beginners ask is, if int works for whole numbers, why do we also have byte, short, and long? The answer is memory and range. Think of it like containers of different sizes. A small cup holds less water than a large bucket. But using a bucket when you only need a cup is wasteful. Data types work exactly the same way. Choosing the right data type saves memory and makes your program more efficient. So let's have a quick breakdown. So I use a different color. For whole number, we have byte, one byte uses 1 byte of memory. Its range is from -128 to 127. Used for very small numbers. Then we have short, uses 2 bytes of memory. We have short, uses 2 bytes, and range is from 32,768 to 62,767. Slightly larger than byte. And then we have int and uses 4 bytes. 4 bytes, and the range is slightly longer, and it's a little bit hard to write it here. Let me just type the number. It's this number to 1. Okay, this minus number, and you can also imagine the positive number is the same. Let me write it here. 2. I just copy and paste it and remove only unless only one number. So this one is for int. Now let's go for the next one. Next one is long. A long uses 8 bytes of memory. And it can hold very long numbers far beyond what int can handle. Use long when your number exceeds the int range, for example, the world population or distances in a space measure in meters. One important rule about long: you must add the letter L and at the end of the value. Like, let me write one example. Like, if you want to write long as a data type and L as variable name, or maybe low as variable name, and then the value, and then you have to add the letter L at the end of the value. Without the L letter, Java treats the number as an int and may give you an error. So now let's talk about decimal numbers. Java has 2 types of decimal. Has 2 types of decimals, float and double. Float and double. So for float, we can say that it uses 4 bytes of memory, is less precise than double. So for the double, we can say it uses 8 bytes of memory and is more precise. It is also Java's default for decimal numbers. Declaring a double is simple. We can just write data type double, then the variable name, and then the assignment operator, and then the value, and semicolon. No extra letter needed. But if you want to declare a float, you have to, if you declare it like this, float f assignment operator 5.6 and semicolon, Java will give you an error. Why? Because Java says 5.6 and automatically treats it as a double. It's default for decimal numbers. And you cannot put a double into a float with a till in Java. The correct way is to add the letter F at the end, and you should write it this way. Float F assignment operator 5.6 and then letter F and semicolon. The F letter tells Java I am intentionally using float, not double. So now let's talk about the char data type. Char stores a single character, 1 letter, 1 digit, or 1 symbol. The value must always be written inside single quote. Must be written always within single quote. Okay, for example, we can write char as a data type, and then the variable name, assignment operator, double single quote, and only one character. It can also be any characters. Char uses 2 bytes of memory. So now let's talk about boolean, and this one is simple. A boolean variable can only hold one of 2 possible values, true or false. True or false, nothing else. For example, we can write the data type as boolean on Eclipse, name the variable as result equal true. Okay, booleans are used constantly in programming, especially when making decisions. For example, is the user logged in? Is the game over? Is the password correct? All of these are yes or no questions, and that is exactly what a boolean answers. So now let's open Eclipse and put everything into practice. Let's declare a variable of every primitive data type. So I choose simple variable names. So first I choose int as a data type. The variable name is I equal 5 and semicolon. This is the syntax of declaring a variable. Then I choose short as a data type, s as a variable name, the value of 5 and the semicolon. And then I go for the byte, b equal 5. Then I go for the long. I'm sorry, I forgot to add a semicolon. Then I go for the long, l equal 5. Remember, for long data type, we have to add L letter at the end of the value. And then float, the variable name, f, and then the value, 5.45, and then we have to add a f letter at the end of value. So then double, variable name is chosen as d, assignment operator 5.5, then semicolon, char, c, assignment operator, single quote, a or b or c or d or f, any letter, and semicolon, boolean, variable name, check, an assignment operator, and true or false. Okay, now let's print each one. I write system.out.println parentheses and the name of the variable inside the parentheses, and at the end semicolon. Because it takes too much time, I just copy and paste it, and I just change the name of variable. I S B L F and 2 more variables, D and C. Let's run the program and observe the output. You will see each value printed on its own line. Okay. So now let's see what happens when we make the 2 most common mistakes. Mistake number 1. Mistake number 1. Forgetting L on a long value. For example, I choose the data type long, variable name distance, and the value I choose is too long. And semicolon. So now let's run the program, space out, control space 2 times and press enter. Now let's run the program. Okay, we see that the program gives us an error because that the program treated as an int and this number exceeds the int range. Let's fix it like this. I put an L at the end of the number. Look, automatically the red line under the name disappear. Now let's run the program. Now we can see that there is not an error. Mistake number 2. Okay, remember that adding 2 slash will enable you to write comments inside your code. So forgetting if on a float value, for example, float for as a variable name, assignment operator 5.6 and semicolon. Now let's run the program out and I write the name of variable inside the parentheses. I run the program and we can see Java gives an error because 5.6 is treated as a double by default. Let's fix it like this. I add an if at the end of the value and program runs without any errors. These are the two most common data type mistakes, and now you know exactly how to avoid them. Let's do a quick recap. Java has 2 categories of data types, primitive and non-primitive. Today we covered all 8 primitive data types for whole numbers. We covered byte, short, int, and long. Int is the default and mostly common used one. Long requires L at the end. For decimal numbers, we use float and double. Double is the default. Float requires F at the end. For single characters, we use char and we always use single quotes. For true or false values, we use boolean. And boolean only accepts true or false, never it accepts numbers. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a lesson. See you in the next one.